Love music. Live sport. Talking football with Bill Young, Hugh Burns and Paul Hegarty on Rock Sport Radio.
Okay, it's the final one of the week. Paul Hegarty will join us at 6:30. We will look ahead to the fixtures over the weekend, and there's a matter of a Celtic Rangers game happening at Celtic Park this weekend, of course. That was a wee look you gave me. What was that wee look about?
No, there's more to cover on the show, is there not?
There is. There's last night's
Rangers game. Yeah.
For
the Rangers draw.
Both Rangers and Celtic. So that's exactly what we'll start with. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start at Celtic Park, or do you want to start at Ibrox?
Yeah. Well, listen, I think, you know.
Sorry, not at Ibrox, obviously. At Ufa.
Ufa. Well, listen, what I will say is a magnificent performance by the eventual 9 men that ended up on the park. I thought Rangers started really strong. I thought the surface was great. It suited their style, the way they got it and went and pressed. And, Hegarty's goal was just absolutely magnificent. What a strike
for me,
it was.
I said this last night, for me he was the man of the match for Rangers.
Bill.
He really was exceptional.
And we've said the last couple of weeks that the big fella, the fact that he's getting game time, looks very comfortable on the ball, and as if he's in there now on true merit, you know, and just not playing. That's always sometimes the problem when players are brought in and loan. You know, as a lot of deals get done, we'll give them plenty of time on the park, and sometimes it doesn't really happen for them on a playing sense, but they're still got to play. But this big guy now is meriting a start and really making his mark in the middle of the park, Bill. But it was a great strike on his right foot, bang, right into the top corner. You know, goalie not a sniff at it. Got him off to a great start.
It was great when you saw the camera angle from behind him as he was running across.
Oh, it was a brilliant strike.
Where he set it off and the way it came back in.
Well, on that particular surface, the ball will take off like a bullet. You know, that way it just seems to fly that little bit harder and into the net. But we did say before we come on, I thought Rangers were in control. They didn't look like losing anything. Maybe a couple of balls in behind Flanagan the left hand side, but that's always going to happen. He's playing in a kind of unfavoured, role that he's been asked to play, but he's doing it.
I mean, the other thing about Flanagan is that you've got to be realistic about it. As you said, he's playing in a role which is not his natural role, number one. Mm-hmm. But here's the other thing for me, Hugh. He's not blessed with a lot of pace, and when Rangers have to play quite high up the field, he can't hang back because he'll play people on side, number one. But you've got to be careful that you don't play too high up the park, because you're going to give him a chase then. Yeah. And he's just not got the pace on it.
It looks a bit vulnerable then, doesn't it?
He is a wee bit kind of leggy.
Yeah. Well, he's well, listen, his fitness has got better the last 6 weeks. I've seen him against maybe Bury and teams like that.
I don't think it's a fitness thing with him. Some people can run, some people can't.
I think he is a bit quicker than he was. He needed games. He's getting game time for the manager. That's great, and the manager's put a lot of trust in him. But going over the game, in general, Rangers don't lose players that win the game convincing for me. They've got better players. Just a great result. You go and win anywhere in Europe, it's a fantastic result. Fantastic, come through the 4, qualifiers, get into it proper. Ufa, not the biggest club in Europe. You're still relatively young as a club, but you're still going to go and win, technically. You've seen a wee bit more of them when they get a wee sniff at getting a second goal against Rangers, and they started playing. You could see then they were decent. I don't think, as I say, they're that high up in the league as it is right now. But, facility, they're not one of the bigger clubs, but you're still going to go. Look what happened to Rangers last year in Luxembourg. That's how far on
you can only knock over what's in front of you.
Rangers at no time, even down to 9 men, they still defended. Everyone to a man.
Here's something, and I know hindsight is 2020, but you know what? When you look at that game on Sunday, that was a great result in terms of a learning curve for Rangers, because all the things they didn't do on Sunday, they did remarkably well last night. And Steven Gerrard obviously did learn from that on Sunday. I'm always very impressed by the way he refocuses people. They went in at half time and they came out again, and you could see they were refocused. And that's something he's very, very good at. But again, you could see those players fighting for everything, playing for everything, and with the one thing at the back of their mind at all times: I want to please the manager.
Yeah, I think that's...
I want to make this manager proud and happy.
Yeah, I think we can see that. I think as a fan, and even now the pundits are the guys that are writing the specs.
Sorry, Hugh, just a minute. Lewis, are you listening? Getting some people saying that Lewis, some people saying there's no sound coming through in the feed, please. So there we go. Fix the sound. Somebody's saying no sound coming through in the feed.
Fix the sound, please.
So obviously they can see us. You can always sit on.
They can see us, but they can't hear us.
Aye, but they can't hear me telling them to listen on DAB or use their phone in the app for a minute. So I don't know what the problem is.
Right, okay.
No, the streaming knob is exactly where it should be, 100%. So he's trying to fix it now. I don't know if I can trying to fix the streaming now.
I didn't like that third movement of the hand.
But for me, it was I said it was a magnificent display, and it was a magnificent display in terms of just the amount of commitment that was shown, the focus, the concentration, the fact that they played for each other even more as a team than they have been recently.
Well, listen, I think Flanagan goes off at 63 minutes.
I don't get that one, Hugh. I looked at it, and I've looked at it again, time after time after time after time today, and I can see the jump, I can see the challenge. For me, it wasn't even a foul. Never mind a yellow card.
No content.
But it wasn't a foul. No. There was nothing done.
No, I know. I understand. It was terrible. It was a terrible decision. The referee made my life, doubly hard. I think after 63 minutes he went off. So for the last half hour, we're playing with 9 men. And apart from the goal that they did get with a couple of minutes to go, there was a foul on my centre back, and he gets a big strong header certainly for the boy, the Ufa player, but. Generally, that was the only time. They had a couple of wee half chances. And,
a few people, including Rangers fans, saying that they didn't think that the goal that was disallowed should have been disallowed.
No, well, I don't know. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I just thought he climbed on top of your centre back and got in there, and it was it was certainly backs to the wall, and there was no doubt about it. I mean, you're going to get that at 9 men. You've got no out, have you? You've got nothing.
Realistically, in a game like that, at 9 men, you shouldn't be going through.
Well, no, we have an out to go, Bill, away in Europe.
You shouldn't be going through.
No, so
that's a tie that should be getting away from you.
I just think that,
and Rangers didn't let it get away from them.
I just think that's what he's installed in the squad, in the team, and each and every one of them can be very, very proud, sitting in that plane ready to come home last night, for every angle with the backroom staff, the players that maybe didn't get on, but they're all together, Bill, and I think they win together, lose together. Last night they win together.
I was talking to Jerry Collins, and Jerry was saying that a pal of his who drives a taxi was at the airport, and when they got back and they'd been delayed an hour, their flight had been delayed an hour, there was over 1,000 fans at the airport waiting to greet them, and the guy said, I've not known that for years and years and years and years and years.
I think a lot of frustration's coming out, a lot of happiness now in the faces of Rangers fans, knowing it. They have now went 13 undefeated, isn't it now, I think, as it keeps adding up, which is great, and long may it continue. And they're getting confident every game. I think it's a good point you made from the Sunday, losing a goal last minute. That team bus must have been like a morgue on the way home on Sunday.
At the time, it was probably the worst result in the world to them. But looking back at last night and what they learned and took from that, it wasn't a bad result at all.
Absolutely. To go anywhere in Europe, to come back with a draw was pretty impressive. Very impressive. And obviously we stand now in the group proper. And I think when you look at the draw as well, I think the draw's been quite good to us, Bill. When you look at it, you've got Rapid Vienna, Spartak Moscow, and Villarreal, and they're all delighted with the Villarreal one because I don't think it's that far from Benidorm. So I think the troops are on. The troops are on tour, starting at Villarreal. I don't know how the fixtures have come out. I'm not going to just get a list of that, but. No, I think they'll be over the moon. They're in the draw. It's another 4 guaranteed full houses, at Ibrox and Revenue, and TV money and endorsements and the area in general all getting a turn, Bill. I'm absolutely delighted for him, and I'm delighted for everybody on the board and backing.
Can you imagine what it was like at the meeting at Ibrox today for the share issue?
Well, aye, absolutely. I didn't know it was today, actually.
I bet it could have been oversubscribed 20 times over.
There you are. It's really just a feel-good factor. Again there, Bill, that we've not had for a long time. It's beginning to come to fruition. We've got a young manager who's getting better every game, and we know he conducts himself in the correct manner, just the way as a Rangers manager should, and he's learning. I heard this morning on another radio station, Early Doors, they were talking about Steven Gerrard, and they brought something up regarding him and Brendan Rodgers, and it was actually your pal Brazil had mentioned it. He says there's no love lost between the two of them.
No,
I didn't know that. I don't know how that would have came, because Rodgers had, I believed, had Gerrard in every game, didn't he? He played every game under him at Liverpool, so I wouldn't have thought there was any love lost between these two guys, but you never know. So. Well,
it's very difficult to come into a club as a manager, and I'm not opposing any kind of blame or anything like that, but it's very difficult to come into any club as a manager where you've had someone who's been his whole career at that club and gone right through the youth system into the first team, played at all levels, been captain of England, been captain of the club, all the rest of it. You kind of live in their shadow a wee bit, especially when it's somebody that's got the character and the personality of Steven Gerrard, and that must be difficult for any manager, and I think it does put stress on relationships a wee bit, because the manager, it's like any manager, Hugh, you don't know how long he's going to be at the club. No. But Steven Gerrard was a constant there, and there was no real chance of him going anywhere until he decided he was going somewhere.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time the manager comes in and he's there for a wee while. But Steven Gerrard's, he's part of the, like the Shankly Gates.
And I don't think
he's part of the whole fibre of the club.
I think the fact that Steven Gerrard was still a very, very important player for Liverpool when Brendan Rodgers was a manager, apart from the infamous slip in the halfway line against Chelsea.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at that. Connor Golson had a slip last week.
Yeah, I know that.
It happens to
happens
players.
In matches, yeah, but I don't think Steven Gerrard ever even let his form dip or his ability on the park.
Let me ask you something. Bearing in mind that Liverpool have been chasing for years and years and years and years that title, how do you think Steven Gerrard would have felt at that slip and that goal costing them the title?
Oh, 1,000,000% gutted.
There's nobody at Liverpool Football
Steven Gerrard
Club
will think,
would have felt any better or
Steven
any
Gerrard will think about that every other day. That's what happens when, if you've made such a massive mistake in your career, I would imagine that he will think about that. It's not letting him, hey, listen, it's not...
I think you're being unfair there, because I don't think that's a mistake. I think that's one of those things that you can't legislate for.
And I think it's something, it shows you what somebody's all about, and after all this time, still being through your mind about it. It shows you how much you care about your club and how much love and affection he had for Liverpool. I think when Rangers fans actually sit down and actually think that we have, for the want of a better word, stumbled across a guy who had 130 odd European ties under his belt, won endless amounts of trophies with Liverpool, won European titles with Liverpool, 114 England caps, never in any bother. I think he went out one night after the game with Liverpool and his pals were out and they got up to no good. One wee blip, that's in the horizon. And, so it's a case of, what have we actually stumbled across here? Is it something incredibly special? Where Rangers managers have always been looked at having a bit of quality and a bit of class about them. The Rangers fans know what they want to see in their technical area. Somebody they can relate to, somebody that they can trust, Bill. Trust is a massive word. And I think now they've got somebody they can trust. This isn't a flash in the pan here, Bill.
I think Shuggy's in love with Gerrard, says Ben.
Well, I'm not in love with him, but I got a bit of stick off Murdo because I'm the gaffer.
Can I just say very quickly, guys, I'm sorry that you've missed quite a bit of the first 15 minutes because we had a problem with the sound. Everything should be functioning now properly. I don't know what the problem was, but Lewis, our producer, sorted it now. So my apologies for that. We were talking about Rangers' performance last night, and of course, if you're a Rangers fan, that's just even peed you off more than you were before. But we're going to continue talking about Rangers. We'll get to Celtic shortly.
Well, you're talking about, I relate to him as a gaffer, and not because I'm doing bits with the TV or wee bits and bobs, but nothing at all to do with that, because if I'm a Rangers fan and he's in charge of the club that I love and I support, then I look upon him, he's a gaffer. That's just a phrase that I use, and I hear a lot of bears saying, the gaffer's doing a great job, a gaffer this, a gaffer that. That's, he'll be delighted.
Well, here's something from the Ulster Bear, who says, I believe in my side that I have a belief in my side that I haven't had for a long time. Light Shug said we trust our manager. Mm-hmm. Listen, let me tell you something. There will be a blip at some point. There's got to be a blip at some point. But here's the character.
There doesn't have to be a blip.
No, there does, because it happens with everybody. But okay. here's the thing. The makeup, the character, the personality of Steven Gerrard, I believe, will be short-lived, that blip, because I think this thing he's got about being able to refocus his team, which he's done on a number of occasions, I think shines through. Yeah. Talking to somebody today who's been in the company of Steven Gerrard in a formal capacity, says that he has this aura about him. He said he's a magnificent talker. He's very, very good at making a case. And everything's logical, well thought out, rational. He said he certainly has something about him. He says, but I'll tell you what he has about him more than ever. He says, you can tell just by the players he's brought in, he knows a footballer.
Well, when you've been at the level that Steven
When you've been a footballer,
yes.
You know a footballer.
Well, of course, and something, we've all got opinions, but something, there's sometimes in life, opinions, come across a bit stronger than others, and when you listen, we've all been footballers, but we've not all been Steven Gerrard.
No, that's the point I make. Right? There's footballers and there's footballers.
Aye, and exactly, and that's when you give it the footballers, that's the ones that you listen to. That's the one the players listen to. They're the ones that can maybe convince the money men, right, Mr. Chairman, I need 2 million. This guy will make us fortunes. I'll make him a player and he'll make us a better team and he'll win his cups. There's a way of him going up the stairs and getting that across to the chairman. But
Hugh,
listen,
quickly
go back to the Blue Room the day he was interviewed. Now that's the first time he sat in a chair being interviewed in front of millions of bears, and I think the bears that day were convinced with the interview. It was initially on Rangers TV and it was very, very good, and it came out obviously worldwide and it hit all the sports channels. I think people then knew the way he went up and down the channel, the track, he gave it that, and if anybody's watching on Facebook, he gave it that, and that's what the fans wanted to see. A midfield player who played like that, bringing that to the touchline, but also been very cute to bring in the right people round about him, trust people round about him, bring in McAllister, get people recruiting properly, bringing in the right Rangers player. Better than what you've got. I may add, we didn't have a lot of great players. There were still players there that could play, but look at the bounce Tavernier's given us. Look at the bounce Daniel Candias has given us. Look at the bounce Andy Halliday has given us. Players like that who were, in the thoughts of the past 3 or 4 managers, give or take Murty's 2 caretaker spells. But Cacinia, and Warburton, they weren't getting the real best out of Tavernier and Candias and Halliday. But this guy has, Bill, because there's a way of getting it across. There's a way of getting into players' heads that this is how you behave yourself, this is how you train, this is how we do it. It's very, very, very similar.
Do you know one of the things that I'm impressed with, and I think this, because remember people were talking about, is this club too big for him when he first came? And I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's been commentating in the northwest of England on Liverpool games for the last 20-25 years at a radio station there, and he called me up about something, and we got onto we got onto Steven Gerrard, and I said, people are kind of worried that this is too big a club for him as his first managerial role. And he burst out laughing. He just burst out laughing. He said, Billy spent all his life at one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Yeah, it's good.
He said, big clubs are ingrained in Steven Gerrard and in his mentality and in the way he does things. He said he would have failed miserably, probably, if he'd have gone to a small club, because the frustrations of it would have got to him. He said, he's a big club man with a big club mentality. And I'll tell you something that's really impressed me, Hugh, and I've got to say this because it's been kind of let go a little bit. You see, when you hear players that have been brought in, and I've watched interviews of all the players that have been brought into Rangers this season, the one thing they major on is the fact that they appreciate, and somebody's told them, and Steven Gerrard will be the guy who will have said to them, listen, you're not just coming to any football club. You're coming to one of the biggest football clubs in the world with fans who will die for you but expect you to give them that back. And every one of those players, when they come, and I listened to the two that were signed today, Grezda and Worrell, and they both started in their first sentence saying, you've no idea what it's like for me to come to a big club like Rangers. So he's already getting people and saying to them, you've got to appreciate where you are. You've got to recognise the size of this club. You've got to recognise what they expect of you. You've got to recognise the reputation that we've got to rebuild. Yep. And the players have bought into it. But he's made sure that he's brought players in who have understood what he's told them about the size of Rangers as a club and have been prepared to buy into it. More than that, the quality of the players he's bought into, they all do what they have to do. They all know their jobs, but they're all footballers. They know there's quality there. There's
a mirror image forming right now, and he's not my favourite person. And soon as kind of, I did an interview the other night there for a Rangers radio online thing, and the guy,
hang on a minute, I don't remember getting the request to release you to do that.
He phoned me back to say he had something like 20,000 listeners for an hour and a half. It was great chat. It was just like what you and I are doing now. Did it for the house, and it was great. And we spoke about Souness and different things. And I did say that at the time that very, very, very similar circumstances of a top-notch player, right, getting the backing for the board that knew a player to bring players in. Also get a hand in the training ground, very similar that he had with Walter. Very similar what Stevie Gerrard's got with the backroom staff and Gary McAllister. So a lot of that is carbon copy for me. And you brought in a top international player who's played at predominantly one big club that's won things domestically, European, international honours, could play, know a player. Soon as brought in one or two players, and know every player will work out that Stevie Gerrard brought in, but see the majority of the bill. Majority of the players, if he brings in 10 players, there'll be 6 or 7 gems there. And the other 2 or 3, he'll get his money back and move them on. Similar to what Soon has done. And it's very, very, very similar. The word aura that you talk about, everybody wishes they had it. You can't buy it, Bill.
How much did last night take out of Rangers? And by that I mean it was a tough gig. They dug in, they did extremely well, but they were tested, and a lot had to be taken out of the individuals. However, the result, you would think, would have compensated for a lot of that, going through the group stages. But you and I have spoken about this before, Hugh. Adrenaline can be an absolute killer to an athlete when you use so much of it that it hits you in a different way to physically being tired. The adrenaline rush. There's a big game coming up on Sunday. Nobody can get away from that. Celtic looked as if they were starting to re-establish some kind of form and style last night. They weren't up against the best, but you can only knock over what's in front of you. We say that time and time again. Scott Brown had a couple of loose wee bits, but generally looked as if he was back again. Lee Griffiths in the back of scoring his 100th club goal for Celtic. You've got to think is going to have a wee bit of confidence with all the uncertainty about Dembele. Is he going to expect to start? Lee Griffiths? How can you not start
Did you
him?
get that text I got sent today saying they'd walked off the training ground at Lincoln?
Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff. There's been a lot of stuff about that, but Brendan Rodgers made a statement about it at some point today. I haven't been able to see it because I've been busy doing other things today. But you know, it's a big ask after a game like last night for Rangers to come fired back up again. And go for it. But as we all know, if you can't get up for games that are Rangers and Celtic games, there's something wrong with you.
I think after the Celtic game, I'd be worried. You know, even if they do get another result on Sunday, I think then they've got a wee bit of time, really unwind a little bit. You see him coming on the park as he always does. You seen the backroom staff; they're all hugging on the side of the park. They've taken them into the group proper. I think adrenaline is going through the veins. It's a wonderful feeling. Being in the dressing room after a result like that, you know, I can only talk about, you know, not playing that many games in Europe, but I've been in the dressing rooms after Old Firm wins and big games and beating Aberdeen and things like that. And, you know, the adrenaline in the dressing room, there's no better place than earth. So you don't, there's nothing going through you negative. Everything's positive. So you're having a bit of banter after the game. Everything's good. The manager's talking to players individually. You get on the bus, you get yourself to the airport, flew back over, you say the big greeting at the airport.
Yeah, there was over 1,000 fans waiting for them.
There's another boost, get themselves home. I don't know what the training schedule would have been for today, but if it's a late finish last night and an early doors back this morning our time, it's home, it's asleep, it's report at the training ground this afternoon. It's a tightener, an early night tonight. Whether he's taken away tonight, I don't know. I'll be back to the training ground tomorrow, light duties, and an early start on Sunday. And these guys now are conditioned to go.
I don't know if you've heard this story, but apparently before even home games, what he does is he gets them in, and they go to Ibrox, they park their cars, they all get in a bus, they go to Mar Hall, and they have pre-match meal, and then they go for a sleep. Mm-hmm. And then
match days.
Yeah. Have you heard that?
No, I never. No. I can find out. I can.
No, well, the person that told me would be the person that would have told you because you sit next to him.
Well, I didn't know that. He's in India at the moment, so
I know.
I can't talk to him. But to meet early, to go and do your bit and get a sleep would be kind of, it would be. Aye, that would stack up, Bill. Aye,
I just thought it was an interesting. I thought it was an interesting.
Just an early start for the boys on match days.
I
whether they would do that, maybe do that with 3 o'clock kickoffs, Bill. No,
they wouldn't do it.
Wouldn't be meeting at 6 o'clock in the morning to go out of their bed to go and train. To go
most of them would just be coming home then.
Well, in our days, in our days for sure. But it's like.
But he's obviously got a system. He's obviously got a routine. And I think it's a very smart way of doing things, because if you put a routine into everything, then everything becomes a routine. And that includes on the park as well as off the park.
There's nothing really changed. Soonest changed it a little bit when they took them to the Grosvenor on a Friday night. The biggest problem was going to Grosvenor on a Friday night was nobody wanted to room with McCoist. Because a Friday night, his phone would obviously still... Well, there no mobiles in, but his hotel phone would be going regular at that time, so, for one way or another. So, that was the only downside of going to the Grosvenor. But a togetherness, a professionalism that Soonest brought. I remember going to Hearts. I remember Sandy and Doddy bringing the players in 10:30, match days, Tynecastle. A wee tightener, round the park, pick the team... Go in, have your lunch, you're there together, you watch Football Focus, you're part of it all, and it's a build-up. It's quite a long day, that. So everybody's got a different, set-up and how you go about pre-match. But that idea of Marhall, 20 minutes down the road, get a wee kip, feel fresh, I would think that would. But Sunday will be difficult, I think. It'll be an early start. Players will get to their bed early tomorrow night. Players will get to their bed early tonight. Different days now, mate. And heard McCoist and Bazil talking about this morning about players in their day. Again, we're talking very similar to the way you and I are on preparation via an Old Firm game. And I remember having a couple of beers on a Thursday night, maybe game on a Saturday. I'm not talking about being out all night, but things like that you would get away with in our day. But no, these guys are conditioned to go and go again. But the adrenaline thing, I think, can only help right now because it keeps the momentum going, the will to win going, and the togetherness, I think, is there anyway.
Right, Flanagan, I don't get the red card at all because I didn't even think it was a foul. I've said that earlier, I'm going to say it again, but the elephant in the room... What's it all about, Alfie?
Morelos.
What is that all about?
Alfredo Morelos. Well, what I will say, and without really, spilling the beans, the boozer I was in, and I'll no mention any names, it wasn't the best picture in the world, right? So I'll leave it at that. So all we seen was wee bits and bobs of it. There was a couple of pubs that did advertise it, having it on, because it was predominantly Rangers TV that were selling it. But pubs were paying big dough, I think, for it. I know the people in the houses were getting it, which was great because, they were allowed to do it. But I seen bits of it.
I actually watched it on a Russian channel.
Did you?
Yeah, I watched it on a Russian channel.
You've got a lot of the Russian channels, haven't you? Pay-per-view. So really, yes, we couldn't believe it, that he got himself involved. You told me weeks ago you didn't trust him. It's going to be
Hang on, just say that again, because it doesn't happen very often.
You told me weeks ago it was going to happen, and I thought that the manager would get in his head. But there's only so much the manager can do. Now, we've got a wee guy here. He has a bit of a bomb scare. He has a wee bit of a time bomb, call it what may. But he has got ability. He actually had the beating of that back four yesterday. That's the Angersom side of it, where he's a player. We know he's getting better. And let's just kind of juggle the two of them together. Let's say, listen, if I'm getting off here, I'm letting my mates down. We're down to 10. Flanagan then goes for a very, very dodgy second card. Never for me a sending off. And we're down to 9.
Foul.
But exactly, not a foul. But Alfredo Morelos must have a serious look at himself. Must, because the manager can only take so much.
Well, the manager has said what I said last night.
I never read a paper today, so you need to fill me in on
right, well, the manager has said what I said last night, and a lot of people turned round and said the yellow card for what he did initially, great. The second one for mouthing off at the referee. When was petulance ever a crime on a football pitch? And I said it is a crime because it's not known as petulance, it's known as dissent. And dissent's always been a problem.
Foul and abusive, yeah.
I also said that you can get away with it sometimes in our league, but the continental referees, when you play in Europe, do not have any truck with it at all. They just
because
don't.
He could be saying in his best Colombian, referee, you're the best referee I've ever met in my life, but the referee thinks he's been derogatory towards him, regardless of anything he says.
Stephen Gerrard said as well, he said, look, you know that you're going to get referees who are not going to stand for this.
Did they back him this morning?
Well, he didn't back him, but he didn't not back him.
Right, okay.
He said he loves the player. And he says that he's got a lot to offer, and he wants to keep him at Rangers, but there are things that he needs to work on. But he said last night, the same as I said at the Aberdeen game, why give a referee an opportunity to make a decision? Don't give him the opportunity to make that decision.
Okay.
Stephen Gerrard said the same thing last night, and he turned round and said again, you're playing in Europe, you're not going to get away with it in Europe. Referees will not stand for it. Right. So therefore, don't give them the opportunity.
Right. They've been to Russia, they've done the business, they're into a group where we'll probably talk maybe to Higgs later on about it as well, and his thoughts on it. He knows the European scene better than us put together. Does he play him on Sunday?
It depends for me. You've got to go with your strongest team, so for me you do play him, and you play Lafferty, and you beat up the two centre-backs, the Celtic. That's in an ideal world, Bill. Yes, in the same way how if you're Celtic, you put on somebody like Griffiths who can test by getting in behind Golson and Katic potentially, so you test them in the same way. But I think it's a different battle with the centre-backs, for Celtic centre-backs against whoever the striker or strikers are for Rangers, than it is for Rangers centre-backs against whoever the Celtic striker is. But you've got to test both sets of centre-backs, because Golson and Katic haven't been tested against real class so far in the league.
No, that's true.
And Celtic are weak at the back, although Boyata was absolutely outstanding last night, I have to say, in my view.
Right.
I thought he played very, very well.
Who did he play, Boyata and Aya?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And so I really thought Boyata was excellent.
Right back,
yeah.
turn the left back, and then the middle of the park.
So, but look, it's one of those things where if you don't play him, are you cutting off your nose to spite your face? If you do play him, does it send out the wrong message to the player in terms of you can't keep doing this and get away with it?
I think the most important
Let's
thing...
bring Heggs in.
All
Heggs, how you doing?
Good evening, Hugh. Good evening, Bill.
Good evening, Mr. Hegarty. How are
Just
you?
before we got started, I missed the call from you yesterday, and it was because I was actually in Dundee with Davy McKinnon. And I tell you where we were at the Doubletrees by Hilton, just at the roundabout as you come in.
Yep.
And there was a car there, and the registration was B12 Heggs. And Davy says, I wonder if that's Heggs.
Being at the hotel and it wasn't supposed to be, is that what you mean?
No, I didn't have a personalised number.
Especially if you're hanging about hotels, it's not a good idea, Higgs. That's for sure.
I've had some of my best days hanging about hotels.
Yeah, but no more personal play. We're talking about the performance last night, Paul. The Rangers' performance and the sending offs and the draw and what have you. Kind of stripped it all the way back and how well he started, the manager. Did you see any of the Rangers game, Paul?
I didn't, but it's a wonderful result because I must admit I had sort of very going to rush and getting through because I could see the game easy going to extra time and obviously losing the game and getting knocked out of the cup. But you've got to take your hat off to Stevie Gerrard and his team because going down to 9 men any time, anywhere, but more so in Russia to do what they did, Hugh, is magnificent. But I heard you saying about Morales. He's a young player, but he's got to start to grow up and realise that he's punishing not just himself, but more importantly his teammates and obviously his manager. And I think the manager's been very kind and very good to him, but I think he'll probably be having sort of harsh words to Morales on the day.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think the other thing is as well that as John Flanagan said, his teammates got them out of jail because had they been sent off and Rangers went out, and I was saying to Hugh earlier on, just what you've said but in different words, Paul, down to 9 men in a European tie with half an hour to go in Russia, that's a cup tie that should be getting away from you.
Oh, easy because you get nothing from any of these continental refs when you're playing away from home. And I heard you just at the last bit, Bill and Hugh, you're talking about the referees. They don't stand any nonsense. They'll not take any lip from any player, especially in the European scene. You can get away with it in Scotland on the odd occasion, and it's the way you say it to the referee, but they don't understand what you're saying anyway, so they just think it's petulance and just being right rude, so they can send you off. So, when you're playing, you've got to be cute, you've got to be much cleverer in every aspect, whether it's the playing side or when it's the verbal side with the referee. And the best thing to do is when something's happened, you stay clear of the situation and say nothing.
Heggs, you're the Rangers manager right now. It's a great start, 13 undefeated, you're knocking down everything in front of you, but you go to your fierce rivals on Sunday, you want to maintain your unbeaten record. What do you do with Morales? What do you do with him?
Well, I heard Bill say he's got to play stronger team. I think you've got to do that. I think, and it's not a gamble because he's on fire just now. Yeah. It's just a case of trying to keep him on the park for the 90 minutes because he gets a huckle against Aberdeen early doors, and obviously gets sent off last night. So he's got to realise that 2 strikes or 3 strikes and you're out. So he's got to behave himself. I would agree with Bill and yourself. You've got to play the strongest team against Celtic. An intriguing game on Sunday at the Old Firm because it's really the first huge test for Stevie Gerrard, and his team is in form at the moment. And Celtic, by their standards, are not hitting the heights at present. No. And it's going to be an intriguing match. And I'm actually, for a change, looking forward to it because over the last few years it's been flat. Celtic will win. Yeah. How many? Yeah. I'm not so sure what's going to happen on Sunday, but I think it will be a big test, and I think it will be an intriguing and intriguing result and an intriguing game.
Bill, Bill and Paul, I give your thoughts on this. Well, you know what I think might sway the manager's mind? That I don't think Celtic have got enough experience at the back and cocky enough at the two centre-back roles to wind Morales up. To say, right, well, you know, a couple of experienced players who's maybe been ruling the roost in there for a while with Celtic.
But here's the thing, guys. You know what's going to happen. See, Morelos goes on, Scott Brown will sit deep for a wee bit and he'll make a beeline for Morelos.
Yeah, maybe he will.
And clatter him.
Yeah, possibly.
You know he's going to do that.
And Morelos will come.
He's going to be told to do.
Morelos will come a bit deeper as he does. He roams about. But I think really, right, okay, Kieran Tierney will go about his own business. Lustig's one that you could get involved with because he's quite petty. I've seen him diving about and what have you. He could get.
It'd be interesting to see if they put the new winger on.
Right.
I think he might be right side though, so he would be over beside.
But I'm just thinking, Morelos
Tierney.
works the channels anyway. He goes and knocks down. He goes and closes down both fullbacks. So he's always on for a yellow for leaving his leg in here, leaving his leg in there. I just think, you know something. I think yesterday might just be the turning point for Alfredo, where he knows that no matter how much the manager likes him, the manager's standing by him right now. And there comes a time when you go, tell you what, the gaffer likes me. I'm going to do it for the gaffer. And you go to Celtic Park, you work your socks off. He did well there at the early part of the year in the Nerdy game. He did really well there. Should have scored, but did really well. Got in behind him. And I just think the fact that the lack of quality in that particular area, you're talking about Boyata, decent big player, and Lustig you can get to, Tierney bomb up and down, but Candace could look after him. I genuinely think that he might just get the nod on the weakness on the two centre backs for Celtic Park.
You know what though, Hugh, here's the thing that worries me about Morelos. I'm not convinced that Morelos thinks that he's been treated justly, and on occasions he probably hasn't been treated justly, but he's got to realise that what he does is going to get him in trouble. And the way that he looks around and kind of puts the arms out and shakes the head and everything, I don't think the boy actually thinks he's done anything wrong a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You know, I think he kind of thinks...
And you know something? Yeah,
you know,
Paul,
it's like Charlie Brown, why is everybody picking on me?
I've actually yet to see Morelos make a really, really nasty challenge. It's all silly stuff, isn't it? Stuff that could be
petulance.
really... Yeah, petulance is the big word here. Retaliation, keep your trap shut, let your football do the talking, and you've got a chance of winning the game for your teammates. That's easier said than done.
Somebody's giving you stick, and you know you're getting pillars from the people in the terrace, and the opposition are trying to rattle you. You know you're doing something well because obviously you're a threat to the opposition, and he's got to realise that. And I know he's fairly young, but you know I'm sure Stevie Gerrard said on numerous occasions, you've got to start to grow up, son, and just take the flak and get on with it.
Listen,
anything else apart from staying on the park.
Higgs, I was never to get any more yellow cards in me at the beginning of my career, and I remember getting into the team, and you just want to kick everything that's moving, and you know, and Big Jock would get a holiday. I remember getting sent off against Aberdeen, and then he was going to leave me out the midweek game again, Osasuna, and I pleaded with him to play me, and I went to Spain and played purely, and I felt even better that the manager backed me to go and play, you know, and I knew I had to behave myself. And probably my game or my disciplinary record got a wee bit better. It was never the best, but you just knew that you just didn't want to get sent off again. Okay, if you went in for a tackle, and you probably got away with a lot in our day than the white guys are getting away with. That's the thing. You can't get away with anything now. Yeah, that's how it's got to be.
But you know that. And players have been victims of their own kind of antics a wee bit as well. Because the rules have changed, because players have changed. This business of falling over if a breeze goes past them and things like that. You know, that's where it all comes from. That's what starts it. Listen, guys, let's move on to Celtic, because Celtic through into the group stages as well, and last night for me they started to show a little bit of that form that everybody says has been missing from them over the last wee while. Scott Brown coming back into form, Lee Griffiths getting his 100th club goal for Celtic, I still think at the back they're a bit vulnerable, but I thought Boyata was excellent last night. The goalie nearly got caught a couple of times, which worries me again, because he doesn't seem to be learning from that kind of situation. But, Celtic are hitting form just at the right time.
Well, the struggle against Hamilton last week, Bill, they managed to get the 3 points at Parkhead, 1-0. But, I think Brendan Rodgers is obviously delighted with the result last night. And obviously, I think the second half performance was much better than what it has been off late. But like everything else, the important thing for Celtic and Rangers was obviously to qualify for the sections, and the sections are pretty good, apart from probably Rangers, because they've got to go back to Russia. The other teams are obviously in Germany and Norway and Austria, so that helps Celtic and Rangers travelling difficulties. But the one that Rangers is probably most going to detest is go back to Smartek in Moscow and playing in Russia. But going back to Celtic last night, it's a decent result. The most important thing was for the Old Firm to qualify for the group stages, which they have. Celtic are still no firing in all cylinders, and I still think Brendan Rodgers would love to have added one, possibly two players to his squad, and it hasn't happened. But Boyata and I are playing together. They're decent. But what I would do, you said an interesting thing earlier on, Bill, about playing Lafferty. I'd do the same, because Lafferty would sort of rile Boyata and I are up and physically put a demand on these two players, and I think they would find a real test against Lafferty. Plus, if you've got Morelos alongside Lafferty, then obviously he could pick up the scraps and obviously try and get on in behind the Celtic defence and cause the two centre backs a bit of a problem.
Well, guys, here's something for you, Higgs. I don't know if you've heard this or not, because just of the comment you made there, but Malumba, Yusuf Malumba's gone to Celtic today.
Has he really?
He's signed for Celtic today, and Celtic are still keen and still optimistic they'll sign a loan move for Leicester City defender Filip Benkovic. So there's two decent players. Two decent players. Would Malumba start? I'm not sure he would in the midfield that Celtic have got just now. And you ask yourself the question, does Celtic need another midfielder?
No, it's a strange one. I think we spoke about it on it. In fact, I did speak to somebody regarding the Malumba, how well he did it at Kilmarnock, and very strange. I think we've discussed it.
Well, he went back to Kilmarnock because he couldn't find a club, and he went back, and Steve Clark just said to you, too late, son.
Yeah, burnt your bridges, you're on your way.
Go.
Well, listen, it's turned out he's had a great move, and at least guarantee him a contract till probably May, June next year. So a year's contract probably will be an option. Celtic, for me, are very, very, top heavy in there. Scott Brown is going to play at least another couple of seasons anyway. Rogic, you've got Callum McGregor.
I thought McGregor was excellent last night as well. His running from deep was very good.
And Charm, there's your four players in there, really, if the shape's right. So there's no way I think Malumba is going to get his sell in there early on, unless the form doesn't turn round. But yeah, I heard John Barnes talk this morning, who didn't have
a wee production thing again, what we were talking about in the office. I've just said a thing, pronounced Malumbu.
Oh, Malumbu. Oh, right, who's that?
Who bloody who?
Aye, okay, Malumba. You know who we're talking about.
Aye,
but
Morales.
Aye, Morelos. But you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, John Barnes, I heard, getting interviewed this morning with Brazil, and listen, he didn't have a great time at Celtic, but he knew the importance of the derby. He knew what it was all about. He was put really on the spot and said, you've played in a lot. You've played in the Merseyside derby. You've played in the Maracana. You've been everywhere. Done it with England. He says, what's your? He says, listen, nothing beats an Old Firm derby. He says, and I was new to it, and I didn't know what it is. He says, I couldn't believe it. He says, I still think Celtic are the benchmark, but the gap right now, you look at it, Stevie Gerrard is definitely getting ahead of steam up, and the gap he thinks is narrowing already. With a budget, he says, let's not forget that Stevie Gerrard hasn't this 20 million a pot to go and spend on players and bring in players. So who he's brought in, are the players that he thinks are going to do the business. So
it's easy to get players in when you see how bright and bright a start that Rangers have had, so players are attracted to Rangers at the best of times, but because they're back on the winning trail,
it's
good
point,
easy to get players in. And there's nothing better as a manager, Hugh, when you're winning games, to shut the chairman's door and say, can I have a word with you, is there any chance? And more often than not, when things are going well, as Rangers are this now, and they'll do everything in their power to try and make it as easy for Stevie Gerrard to get players in, and quality players in, at this moment in time.
Well, you think about the gates, already I think it was documented, just I got a Facebook message from one of the reporters, I just can't remember, saying that they've banked like $2.5 million already on the back of the qualifiers. There's more qualifiers to come. They get a run. Spartak Moscow, I was doing a wee bit of looking at Villarreal as well. We're 13th in La Liga. Don't really know where Austria Vienna is, but listen, Higgs, that group is not impossible of getting out of. Believe you me, that is a group that they have got a big chance of progressing as well. They'll fancy their chances. Villarreal, for me, will be the benchmark, and then it's whoever qualifies with them. 2 will qualify both each.
That's right.
Yeah. Yep. So what a chance they've got. Austria Vienna, Austrian football is certainly not bad, but you would think he'd fancy his chances there. And Spartak Moscow, I think I've seen a documentary on Spartak. I think they're the spenders in Russia.
They are, but they're like every other Russian team, and that is that they don't like going away from home.
Right, well, I did see there was a documentary. I'm just trying to think who it was. I'll tell you who it was. You remember Ed Balls was doing his bit round about. That's who it was. I seen him doing a documentary on it.
I don't look at balls very often.
Well, no, they are, unless I need to. So he was doing a bit in a documentary about it, talking about the money side of things in Russia. Oh, you like that? Did that tickle you, that one? You pardon me.
You've gone too far there.
But there's money there. There's no doubt about it. But I just think everything just seems to be. Listen,
if you want to talk about money, look at the Celtic section. Red Bull. Red Bull have got money dropping out their backside.
It's a strange one, the Celtic.
They
Red
really
Bull
have.
Red Bull Salzburg, Red Bull Leipzig, and Rosenborg. All the R's, isn't it? Rosenborg again, of course.
The Red Bull teams are big spenders.
Yeah, of course they are. I know they are. But listen, I think it's a group that both Scottish clubs can get out of. I think really Celtic at home. Listen, I'd fancy Celtic in Champions League nights. Never mind, certainly maybe a wee bit in the last couple of years. Maybe not as strong as they've been. But you would think that Celtic Rangers guys would fancy their chances of getting out of those groups.
Guys, we should be applauding the Old Firm to being in Europe, in September, because most of the time we're out fairly early. So you've got to be thankful for the Old Firm to get into the latter stages, albeit Celtic got knocked out of the Champions League early doors. But you've got to thank your lucky stars. You just hope it's an upward trend, not just for the Old Firm, but obviously for other clubs eventually getting into Europe and hopefully flying the flag for Scotland.
Absolutely, definitely. You laughing at?
Somebody's just put in, too busy tickling them to look at them, Bill.
Perish the sort.
I know, it's a terrible thing. Here's a tweet that's come in, guys, and you can answer this one as we head towards looking ahead to the fixtures at the weekend. Malumbu is a decent player, but is he of the standard to improve Celtic? Easy, and we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
If you bring players in, they've got to be better than what you've got. Looking at the midfield plethora of players that Celtic have got, is he better than what they've got?
But here's one for you as well, and Paul.
Well, answer mine first.
I'm trying to.
Don't answer a question with a question.
I'm trying to work my way around it.
Don't answer a question with a question.
Is he better than what they've got? I think he's as good a player as Scott Brown. Right? Okay. And that's where I think he'd be looking at replacing. Because Scott Brown is really... Who's breathing down Scott Brown's neck to play?
Nobody.
Right? So he's bringing in somebody kind of similar to Brown, that if he maybe need a wee rest, he's not getting any younger. There'll be games they maybe want to leave Scott Brown out and bring Malumbu in and not rotate them. Predominantly it'll be Brown, but he knows he's got a wee sitting midfield player there that can do the job that Brown does. And by the way, very, very good on the ball as well, I may add. Not just a sitting midfield player. He's very productive, breaks up things, passes it.
Hugh, my first thought is, why has Malumbu not been picked up before?
I know.
When he left Kilmarnock.
Very strange.
Why?
Very, very strange. After the season he had, you would have thought his agent would have got him a really good move, even into the Championship in England, where they must have been talking serious cash. And to be, listen, I can only think that the agent has priced him out in the market, Paul.
Yeah,
you know,
okay,
and
Bill.
been asking for fortunes. He was on a free, must have been looking to really recoup that in the wages bracket, and managers have went, oh, no chance. Let's not forget, Paul, he put himself in the shop window with the Scottish Premier League, and managers down south, they'll not always all buy into that. Yeah. Different if he'd have been doing it, maybe in the Championship in England, taking the step up, but it's up here, and you know the way they look at us, Paul. So that must have been probably quite hard for his agent to go and sell his player at what they've been looking for as a packaging. Obviously the money's just not been there, but Celtic getting a player like that, you know, again it's a strange one where the fans will go, well, we probably don't need him for the middle of the park, we'll take him, he's decent. The way the Celtic fans will look at it, well, at least the Rangers have no got him. We've got him. They can't touch him, and they'll kick on with that. But yeah, I don't think it's. Listen, it's no a marquee signing for me, Paul. No. Leading up to the deadline day, I still think there's rumblings going on. There's ill feeling going on now with the Dembele thing. I think is it tonight? Could it go through midnight tonight? Is that when we're talking?
Tonight, yeah.
I would not surprise me, Paul, if we wake up tomorrow morning and the big man's away, because I think they could offload him now. Edouard and Lee Griffiths are your two strikers that you can chop and change there. I think to have, three strikers with the money that Leon allegedly have put on the table and did the deal with the player on a personal terms, you're talking telephone numbers.
Hugh, what I'm going to say, I never played for him, and obviously you did with Rangers, right? I think you have got to have a mental toughness. Do you think the likes of players like Malumbu can handle playing for Celtic or Rangers? Tell me honestly, because see, when you play with Celtic and Rangers, you've got to have mental toughness as being a very good footballer as well. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I sit with John McDonald in the gantry every Saturday. He says sometimes the jersey's too big. He says sometimes it's easier to play against the Rangers and Celtic than it is with them.
That's right. They
come in this big cloud of expectancy, and they're going to, knock everything down in front of them. I met a guy last night. I was coming out. I'll just throw it in the spin class because I'm back on the bike, and he says, "Shug, I've not seen you for a while." I said, "No, I've been doing the bike myself." He says, "Well, keep that to yourself. Don't be telling her." I'll do that.
I don't think you should call her that. That's awful.
He says, "Are you looking okay?" I says, "That's good." So we started talking about Greg Docherty. Mad Aki's fan. He says, Hugh, I thought he would have knocked the houses down when he got a move to Ibrox. And again, stick out week in, week out with Hamilton, but you get the move, and it just wasn't at the right time, the right place. It might come back for him. But players like that who have made the move, that have been absolutely magnificent with their own club, you can look at it right down for years. Shifty for Dundee United to Celtic didn't happen.
Told you at the time, though.
Templeton, Hearts to Rangers didn't happen. The list is endless, isn't it? Players that have came, Russell Latipi for Hibs to Rangers didn't happen. I'm just trying to pluck out my head right now. Players that have just came and it hasn't happened. They were great with another club. Great against them, the Rangers, and then came and it just didn't happen. So, and there'll be loads more, and hopefully folk maybe tweet in way names that we can go, I remember him, because over the years, Higgs, I'll bet there's been loads that have got the move to prove themselves at a higher level with the old firm, and they just can't do it at all. It's just
so
not
my
happened.
question was, do you think Malumbu could handle Celtic then, Hugh?
Technically, I think he can. I think he's coming in as a squad player. I'm pretty sure that he'll know that he's a squad player. And listen, the manager's saying, listen, get yourself into my team. It's up to you to get in it. Come in and get Brown out and you're in. So I really see that's the only place that he could probably play in that Celtic team is for Scott Brown. Scott Brown's not getting any younger. I think over the winter he might need a wee rest. He might pick up injuries. So to add a quality player like that is a boost to your midfield. There's no doubt about it.
Okay. What's your thoughts on it, Paul?
Well, Hugh's answered the question. He thinks he can technically can handle it. It's the other side of the game. I must admit, I think Scott Brown, like a lot of senior players, you know, the older they get, the better they get, and they can look after themselves that much better. Bill and Hugh, and I think he's cute enough to play for a good 2 or 3 years. Yeah. Depends on obviously, you know, like say injuries, and he stays clear of the injury side. I'm not so sure about Mullenby because I'm saying to myself, why has he not been picked up after Rangers? You said, well, he's just maybe looking for fortunes. Well, you'd like to think you want to play first and foremost. I know that we've all got to live and we've got to pay our bills, but you know he's left it really late, and fortunately for him, he's got a very good team in Scotland, which is Celtic, the champions. But you know he's a very lucky lad as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, boys, let's move on to the fixtures for this weekend, and we'll start up north with Mr. Hegarty. Aberdeen against Kelly.
Well, the big news up here, and obviously, I don't know if you've heard it, Aston Villa were obviously after Scott McKenna.
Yes, they wanted him on loan with an option to buy in January at a reported £7 million.
That's right,
and the Dons have blown it right out the water.
So obviously, they're looking for plenty money for Scott, and if they've blown $6.5 million, and to be fair to Scott, he's done very well, but he's not played more than 50 games for Aberdeen. He was on loan to Alloa. I think he was on loan to Ayr United, and he has come on leaps and bounds, albeit he's got a hamstring injury now, so he'll be out for another 4 or 5 weeks. But it just shows you how your career can accelerate in a space of 6 to 9 months, which Scott McKenna has, and he's done very well. Obviously, Derek McInnes and Aberdeen rate him really highly. They're probably looking for double figures. They're probably talking about 9-10 million for the boy eventually, and they're sticking to their guns. And it's good to see that, because you know what it's like in England. They're plucking Scottish players out the leagues, you know, for buttons, and now hopefully it's going to change and saying, well, by the way, if you want them, you have to pay the going rate. Tomorrow, Aberdeen have done well. 2 against Hibs. Last week at Easter Road, guys, by all accounts, 2 managers thinking they should have picked up the 3 points. It was Derek McInnes and obviously Neil Lennon, probably biased in a lot of aspects, but you know they're managers that are hungry for success and hungry to get Aberdeen and obviously Hibs to win more trophies. And the week before, Aberdeen were excellent against in the League Cup, winning the 4-0. Kilmarnock, you know, they've picked 4 points out of 9, which is decent. You know, they've had a couple of difficult games against Hearts and Rangers respectively, losing 1-0 against Hearts last week at Rugby Park, albeit down to 10 men, and obviously Stevie Clark wasn't happy with the referee, and obviously the player getting sent off. And I've got to agree with Stevie Clark. I saw the challenge.
Paul, just coming in there, I saw the challenge as well, and I agree with both of you. It was never a sending off. Stevie Clark saying that as soon as Willie Collum was appointed to be referee of this week's Celtic Rangers game, he knew there was absolutely no chance of that red card being overturned.
Well, there you go then, eh? But I saw it the first time, it looked a bit naughty, but when I saw it from a couple of other angles, Bill, never a send. The guy went to win the ball, and obviously got the ball, but obviously got the opposite number. But no, definitely not a red card, and I can see where Stevie Clark's coming from. Yeah,
but if you get the ball, you can't then stop the follow through, and if the follow through takes a player out after you've taken the ball off him, he's lost the ball anyway.
Correct. In our day, it was, if you first and foremost you try to go for the ball. If you got the ball and you got the man as well, that was an added bonus. Now it's called aggressive playing.
Take somebody out, Eggs.
Well, but that was what it was like.
Yeah, it was. It was ball and man, and you got away with it.
And then if you got the man with a sliding tackle, you never see people sliding tackles now because you can't do that.
It was a standing ovation, Eggs. It was a standing ovation. Wasn't it? The full stand was up if you got the ball.
That's
and
true,
man.
actually.
They were all up for it. Like, gave everybody a lift, and the guys standing there,
lying
looking
there
for them. It was a bit of a mess. Listen, I think Aberdeen at home. I don't know. I just think that would be my fancy tomorrow. Kelly in the back of the 1-0 loss at Hearts last week is. It's just a big ask for Kelly to kick on the way he did and the way Stevie Clark galvanised his club and his team, and the steamrolled a lot of teams, including the Old Firm, and would think of nothing of going up to Aberdeen. I just think that his options, it just takes a couple of players not to be in your team that were doing the business for you, and the full mechanics kind of falls down a wee bit for me when there's speculation with Jordan Jones, so you ain't going to tell me he's the happiest bunny right now.
Hang on, I better turn that on. They brought in a boy today from Wolves, and Hegarty.
Oh, right.
From Wolves to Kelly. Not really.
Yeah, while he's on. And the Hegarty.
Bright and Hegarty. They brought him in today. Okay. I don't know a lot about the boy. I know he plays for Wolves, and that's about it, really.
Okay.
Maybe Lewis will flash some stuff up and give you more information. But they haven't been that prolific.
No, they haven't.
In the market this season.
You would have thought after, what he did last season would have been enough, groundwork for him to go into the chairman and saying, listen, Mr. Chairman, if you want us to be doing what we've been doing this year, I can add to that squad. I think the wingers might be a wee bit unsettled, wee boy Jordan Jones. It wouldn't surprise me if something happens again before midnight tonight, and we read about that tomorrow morning. Boydie, I think Father Time has finally caught up in the big man. Who's getting bigger by the week, and I really genuinely think that Malumbu in the middle of the park is the other player that was just holding them together like a rock in there. I like Dicker, who got sent off last week. I think he's a good player. Unfortunate he did get his marching orders, and unfortunate it led to probably losing the 3 points. But I think Kelly going to Aberdeen last season, yes. I don't think Aberdeen are that great, Higgs, but I think they're just a wee bit strong for Kilmarnock at home, and I think the fact they are at home would sway me into an Aberdeen win, Bill. Yeah,
the Aberdeeners seem to be a bit more dogged and resilient from what they have been in the past. And by all accounts, Neil McGinn is back in the fold again, so he might play tomorrow against Kilmarnock. And I've got to agree with you in regard to Kilmarnock. See, last year we probably fancied Kilmarnock against Aberdeen at Pittodrie, but because of the way Kilmarnock have started and not got the players that probably Stevie Clark wanted in, I think you're right, it's going to be a really uphill task for the men of Ayrshire.
And of course Dicker out, who comes in, who does that holding role, who does the general in there, and I think that's where they'll struggle. I don't think they've got anybody in depth ready to come in. So what's your scores, Heggs? I know what mine's is marked down.
I'm going to go for Aberdeen 2, Kilmarnock 0.
Got it, big man. I've got it right in front of me. You want to see it? There you go, big fella.
I'm going for a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw,
no
the big man. No cookie up. 2-0 the Dons. Yes.
Okay.
Where are we going now?
Let's move on to Dundee against Motherwell. Now, I was in Dundee yesterday. Spoke to somebody who knew the club extremely well.
I tell as well.
I was there. Knows the club extremely well, and he was saying that it's pretty fractious at Dens Park at the minute. The manager is falling out with a few people allegedly.
Man after man.
And a few players are not particularly happy with the way things are going at Dens Park and the way he's reacting to them, allegedly.
Well, the press have always got a sniff of something. That's something we've read about in the West here, and a couple of players have came forward. Players that always leave. I've always got a wee gripe with managers.
These are current players.
Yeah, I know that, you're right. So all is not well. It'd be different. It'd be so much different. A manager, especially a young manager coming in, relatively young, Neil McCann, getting results and learning from it when you're getting results. But it must be unstubbornly hard to get results, lose games and still learn, that way, and try to get better. It's near impossible for Neil McCann right now, with the squad that he's got. How long have we been reading that he's coming after Lawrence Shankland, who right now probably ain't want to go to Dundee? I know Kenny Miller has went. Will Kenny make his debut there? Is that deal done? Yeah, I think it has.
Yes,
I'm just wondering if Kenny's waiting to take over as manager.
Well, that would not surprise me.
There's been a lot of talking with guys as well. But the way Kenny Miller was talking on television and the local press as well, that's the furthest thing for his. You're going to get that, guys, aren't you? Because obviously, him being an ex-manager of Livingston, you're thinking, well, if it doesn't work out, Kenny will take over. But I don't think that's the case. The way Kenny's coming in is obviously to try and kickstart his career again and score goals for Dundee.
Well, I'd heard that was actually in his contract.
I heard.
Get the job.
I heard this week from somebody again, very much in the know, that Neil McCann's contract is as tight as a camel's backside in a sandstorm. Right. It is almost watertight.
Well,
so what it's going to cost them if Neil McCann was to go, and how easy it'll be to get him to go, if that's the route they decide to take, I think could be a more difficult task than they think.
Well, guys, you think about what Neil McCann must have been earning at Sky Sports. That would have been a good earner. So that's something, that's ammunition you have got to go back in to Dens. And the impression I got was initially Higgs wasn't going to take it, then he was taking it. I think really would it have happened that Dundee have came up with a package that he's went, listen, I've got nothing to lose here, because there's no way they walked out in Sky, say figures, for 50 grand a year less to go to Dens Park. That ain't happening. I know he loves the club, but so they must have been coming up with big buns to get him coming out Sky. He's probably got Sky to fall back on anyway, because he's good as a pundit, but different ball game sitting there, I would imagine, being a manager than a pundit. And the way you are losing games, as I said earlier, trying to get your career on track, losing games, and the league doesn't lie. 3 games in, nil pois, don't look like winning, don't look like scoring, shipping goals. He's a gaffer, he's got to take responsibility, and it's not looking good. And they entertain Motherwell tomorrow, whose tails will up after last week's performance. If Motherwell play the way against Dundee they do, and they did it against Rangers, they win the game.
Yeah, but that's the big problem, and that's been a problem for Motherwell over the last couple of seasons, consistency. Playing games like that and then falling away.
Yeah, I think they could win at Dens. I think if you actually look at it, I think they're always in the habit of getting quite a decent result at Dens Park, Motherwell. I think they'll go up there, and I think they could go up there and bully Dundee. The way they get in Rangers' faces, if they go and press, which I'm pretty sure they'll have been working on all week in training. You go to Dundee, who are very, very vulnerable right now. Must be vulnerable to get them. If Motherwell score first tomorrow, can you see Dundee coming back?
Well, let me ask you a question, Higgs, as you go into your thinking about tomorrow's game. Kenny Miller at 38, is he going to give you a return on goals like he used to? The answer has got to be surely no, because he plays deeper now. He can still add to the tally, but he's not the answer for a team, for me, that's not scoring goals, creating chances but not putting them away.
Well, they are creating chances, but they've not got somebody on the end of it. But you like to think if Kenny gets a couple of chances in most games, he'll try and tuck maybe 50% of them away. So you're right in what you're saying, Bill, in regards to him getting deeper and deeper. But I'm sure Neil McCann will be saying to Kenny, get yourself in the box at every opportunity when it's coming wide, so that you're there or thereabouts to try and have a striking goal. I just think, Kenny Miller is the type of player who'll maybe help the other players that need help at this moment in time, because I think the way Dundee have done it in regards to results this year, I think the United result has been a massive blow to Neil McCann and obviously to Dundee, because losing at home in the League Cup 3-0, was it was I'm not saying it was a shocker in regards to losing to United, but I think it was the match that Dundee to United was important. Plus as well, I believe that Dundee have signed the guy on loan to the end of the season is the Celtic player Calvin Miller, the defender. That's the talk up here as well, guys.
Better signing Calvin Harris. Got a tune out of him. So
But apparently they've signed Calvin Miller, the defender who's at Parkhead, so that's two Millers that could possibly play tomorrow. It wouldn't have surprised me at all if Kenny gets on the end of things and gets on the score sheet and gets Dundee off the mark. But just what you're talking about, Motherwell guys, you're saying about what they did against Rangers. See, if Motherwell do that all the time, then they always cause opposition massive problems, but they don't do it, and Bill hit the nail on the head. They're inconsistent in that aspect of their game.
Yeah, well, I think they've got. When I look at their team last Sunday and I look at Dundee's team right now, I think Motherwell were more equipped to get a result. I think they've got better players win games if they put a shift in and take it up with Dundee. I think all the pressure is on Dundee to get a result here tomorrow. Kenny Miller will have himself wound up, tuned in, ready to go. There's no doubt about that. He's a good pro at 38. You bring in people who are better than what you've got. They're obviously very, very limited up front.
What does that tell you, though, if you're bringing in a 38-year-old that's better than what you've got, even if it's Kenny Miller?
Well, I just think, Bill, when you look at run about you, and if that's the option at this moment in time, it tells you that the chairman's not giving them money to go and sign Shanklin. That's for sure. Or that would have happened. He's 22, banging goals in the Championship for fun, for United. And when you look at what Kenny's probably going to go on in a wage, Shanklin probably been cheaper on a weekly basis as a wage. So I think he's obviously been looking after Kenny on a wage with no signing on fee, no nothing, no transfer fee, nothing. I don't think it's one he can lose anyway with Kenny Miller. I think Kenny Miller, he might actually, speak to Kenny Miller about things as well. We're talking about an experienced pro. They played together at Ibrox at some point as well, I would imagine. Right. So they'll know one another. So he's bringing in a bit of experience as well. But maybe just not on the hope of getting them goals, but in the hope of maybe some of the young players getting a wee bounce off of Kenny Miller, and Kenny Miller coming in after what's happened at Livingston, who hadn't a bad start, even as a player at Livingston, looks after himself, he's fit, he's better than what he's got, it's a great surface, a great place to play, it's still the Premier League. Let's not forget, we're only 3 games in. Yeah, I contradict myself a wee bit here. I'm probably turned myself into a Dundee fan now. But listen, that's the way it is. You've got to think, well, can these guys get a result? Against Motherwell right now, a team who I think can go and bully Dundee, I would fancy Motherwell to go and get a wee result at Dens tomorrow.
Hugh, the interesting thing is that, there's like Craig White, who's a young player at Dundee. Hearts bought him for an undisclosed fee there.
Do you want to know how much it was? Do you want to know how much the fee was? It was £285,000.
Hearts paid for him.
Yep. Right?
285 grand it was.
Yeah, that was a good bit of money. Well, that's like for like, because when I got Shanklin for no much more than that, I think if I topped that up to 300 grand there, United would have bit their hand off. I think the fact that nobody has come in, hence Shanklin's still been at Somerset. So if you're getting ready a defender, I'm not saying it's easier to fill in, but the gaps are not as big. But if you get a goal scorer in, again, that would have been a free hit getting Shanklin in. So that tells me, Bill and Paul, that they're losing. Okay, the money's sitting there for that kid, but hey, it might be sitting there as a payoff.
I wouldn't be surprised if, like you said earlier on, I wouldn't be surprised if Shanklin wakes up tomorrow a Dundee player. Right.
Well, if that doesn't happen, I'm going to go on record right now, and we'll probably obviously speak next Friday, Higgs. If Dundee lose tomorrow, I think McCann could go as early as tomorrow.
Okay.
And then it wouldn't surprise me if Hartley
So what do you think the result's going to be tomorrow?
I'm going to go Motherwell 2, Dundee 0.
I'm going to go for Dundee's first point of the season, because I'm not so sure what Motherwell are going to give you next. If they give you what they got against the Rangers last week, guys, then Dundee in for a tough time. But
I think so.
I just think with the signing of Kenny Miller, I know that he's 38, but he's still fit as a fiddle, and I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny goes and scores them on, and I'm going to go for 1-1.
Okay.
I'm going for Motherwell.
Go for Motherwell as well.
2-1.
On the back of the performance last Sunday?
Yeah, 2-1.
I think so.
2-1.
Okay.
Aki's against St Johnstone. You can start with this one, Hugh.
Yeah, I read the local rag when I was up at my mother's, and Big Canning had said that he's, for the first time for a while, he's optimistic, even early in the season. I know, that they've not had, they're sitting there still on 3 points with a great first win, of course. But I think what they did at Celtic Park, a lot of people got a wee bit of an eye-opener last week, the fact that they didn't roll over and get mauled by the champs. So I just think that, he's building there, he's got to give it a bit of time. and his remit is to keep them in the league. That's the bottom line. Pick up results here or there. If they get on the back of a spanking, regroup, get back in, get a point here, get a win, get another wee win, gives them a bit of time, because they're in a league of their own down there, there's no doubt about it. There's 6 teams there, all vying. There are 5 at the bottom, well 6 obviously. For Kelly down right now, you would say probably going to be the 6 that are going to be there, unless Mother will get the finger out. So I just think a league within its own. I think Accies will always compete. Accies will always scrap wins and points here or there. They entertain St Johnstone right now, who seem to be, better than what they were. And again, that's what Tommy Wright has done. He's added over the summer, brought in young Matthew Kennedy.
Tony Watt.
What? I think he's doing a wee turn up front.
Very good.
I think so. And they're talking about getting Tony Watt in the Scotland squad. I'll tell you what, it's what a turnaround that is for Tony Watt.
I think there's more chance of Jim Watt.
What?
Well,
I think so. But I think it's magnificent if Tony Watt does turn his career around. He's still young. He knows where the goals are. He's played with big clubs. It's no worked out for him. But now he's maybe just I'm comfortable here. I like the manager. I like the setup. And hopefully it turns around for him. So I think maybe St Johnstone on the 4G, they'll go down there and enjoy the surface. Not, but it depends how they look at it. That's a hard call, that one, Bill. Hard call.
Higgs.
Well, just listening to Tommy Wright before we came on air, and he says they've got the winning habit again. They had a sort of Indian summer against Hamilton last year, albeit it was very close games, but they had won more games and lost against Hamilton, so they're looking forward to the game against Hamilton at New Douglas Park. I just think as well, the way that St Johnstone have set their stall out, winning last week in the local derby against Dundee, 1-0, and the week before that going down to a real banana skin, which was obviously Queen of the South, and winning 4-2 after extra time. So Tommy's back to the winning habit again, which is pleasing. The only downside for Tommy is there's talk Murray Davison, he's out for several weeks with an ankle injury. So
always picking up injuries, that big midfield player, isn't he, Murray Davison, Paul?
Yeah.
Always injury. He's always in the bench.
He's been injured a few times, Hugh, but he's out for a few weeks. And just what you're talking about, Kennedy and Tony Watt, they've sort of struck up a good partnership.
Yes.
Obviously, with them playing down south together, which is a bonus. And
sure.
I think St Johnstone is sort of on the upward trend, and I think Tommy's a happier man because he's several players that he wanted in this year. Martin Cannon, probably like what Hugh was saying, guys. Keep Hamilton in the Premiership. He's done his job, and I must admit that is real management, having to deal with clubs like Hamilton and Livingston to keep them in St Mirren as well, to keep them in the Premiership. I think that's real management because the resources are very limited. But what Martin's done over the course of the last 2-3 seasons has been nothing short of amazing, and here's hoping that they can try and get a result tomorrow. I'm like you. I just think St Johnstone have just got a wee bit better players on the field, and I think St Johnstone will get a result tomorrow, guys.
Yeah, I'm going to go for the Saints, and away win, guys, 1-0.
I'm going to go for 2-1 St Johnstone.
2-1 St Johnstone.
I'm going to go for 2-1 Accies.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go for 2-1 Accies.
There you go. I didn't ask you, but it's nice for you.
No, I just thought I hadn't spoken for a wee while. I'll just chuck it in.
Just to make sure you're still with us. Yeah.
I just thought
Yeah.
I was starting to drift off and wonder what I was having for my tea.
Okay. I don't think you need much.
So I thought I'd just jump in there.
I thought you'd had
it. Hearts against St Mirren. I'm sure we've mentioned it earlier in the week. We'd all like to send our best to Craig Levine after this heart scare that he's had. He's hoping to be back sooner rather than later, but these things usually take a wee bit longer than people expect.
Yeah.
But at least he's on the road to recovery, and we wish him well.
Yeah, it was I thought it was not strange, but they say they're obviously undergoing treatment, and I think it was kind of, well, would they want to talk out of turn? Obviously there was a murmur there, and it scares you because Craig was a big fit lad, and nobody looked after themselves any better than Craig Levein. And listen, sometimes you need a wee fright in life, and he'll get better for it, and that's, nobody wishes him to be unwell, but I think the pressure of Craig, sometimes you can tell in his face, you can tell that he never looks the happiest person in the world sometimes with Craig.
Listen, not to be dramatic, but as somebody who's got a heart problem and undergone 2 heart operations, I can tell you that when you have a problem with your heart,
you listen.
You have no idea how initially it can be so debilitating as it can be. And it does take a while to start, because it's a muscle, and it's like any muscle. You have to try and let it build up again.
No, it's the main one, isn't it?
Yeah, so it doesn't. It's not something you can brush to the side.
I think, to be fair, me being at 52, 53, it made me think about it a little bit when I heard that Craig had a mild murmur, or whether I don't know if the details never came out, whether it was they've put a stent in, made him better, gave him whatever they did to him, which I think is the first step, isn't it? The stent, they look at it and whether they need to go in.
There's nothing sharpens your focus quicker than lying on a table for 5 hours with somebody tinkering with your heart. Trust me.
And
I know that never happened with Craig Levein.
No,
but anything that happens with your heart, it does. You used exactly the right word. It brings things into sharp focus.
Well, it'd just be interesting, what the doctors are telling him, what he needs to do, and how he's changed his habits and all his lifestyle. Probably maybe need to be looked at, and the way he goes about his business. But I've always said to you, he's a massive Jambo fan, and he's been there in about that club for he went for Cowdenbeath. I bet his heart always lay at Tynecastle, and I think he went to, when he was 18, 19. 53, 54 now, that's a long time to have an association with a club, to care about the club, worry about the club, take the big shoulders, take the responsibility. All the jobs that he's had, there's a bit of stick here, a bit of stick there, back in, upstairs, downstairs, sign players out, players in. Still be a family man, still need to go home to you at night to your own house and conduct yourself right and do everything right. And sometimes it takes its toll, Bill. You know what it's like. I know what it's like. And I only get him to Finlay. So, that's the way my life is. I've got to watch what I'm doing, and I'm 100 miles and I'm on my own. So it's very, very difficult. Life is difficult.
I hope you're not suggesting that Craig Levein gets up in the middle of the night and craps in the rug like Finlay does.
That's another story. Thanks for throwing that in. Carpet cleaner will be delighted. I'm keeping him in wages. But no, I think it's important we look at this here. And, we're talking about your life here. We're talking about being here, and which is the most important thing to anything. He'll get it right. I think Austin McPhee will run the show. Meantime, and the backroom staff will all be there. Craig will be on the phone. Knowing Craig will be on the phone. They'll be pick the team. The none stops him still pick the team even though he's in the house. He'll be able to watch matches. He'll still be active to an extent. He's a good lady to be looking after him. I think he lives nearby Dunfermline, and he's a nice bit there. He'll come back stronger for this, and I wish him all the very, very best. I still think the bottom line is they'll win tomorrow. I think St Mirren, I think he'd Stubbsy on. Maybe Stubbsy saying that night there.
Stubbsy was on last night, and he was concerned, but at the same time was quite pleased. They'd lost 2 goals from set pieces last week, and he was disappointed they'd lost them from set pieces, but at least he could identify what the problem was. He feels in open play they're playing fairly well and given as good as they get. He was absolutely devastated that they gave away silly goals from set pieces before. So that's pretty much what he was saying. He said tomorrow they're in no way going there to make up the numbers. They've got to go and try and prove something and show what they're going to be like to play against for the rest of the season.
I think it'll be a tough game for Alan Stubbs and St Mirren tomorrow, guys. They're playing against the informed team in the league at the moment, Hearts. I just, going back to what you're talking about, Craig Levein, I think football does take its toll, and just what Hugh was saying, he's a big, strong lad, but sometimes things you've got to sometimes take a step back and realise what's about. And I'm glad that he's going to take a bit of time out and obviously recuperate. But Hugh's right, because you're a football person, you'll be on the phone, not constantly, but you'll be on the phone a lot to obviously Austin McPhee and John Daly and Liam Fox, the backroom staff, because it is in your blood. But he's got to realise that it's a wee wake-up call and make sure that he looks after himself and wish him all the best. Going back to the game, Hearts to me are very, very rigid, very solid, don't lose goals. The last couple of games, they beat the Pars at East End Park, 1-0 in the League Cup, and they obviously won last week against Kilmarnock away 1-0. The look to me is very mean at the back and making sure that they keep it nice and solid, nice and tight, and allow the midfield and strikers to try and score goals, which they have been doing. They scored against Celtic 1-0 in Castle, and obviously that's 3 goals in 3 games. I can't mind the other game that they actually won against, but I just think they're looking really solid, and if they're not playing well, they make sure that they keep it nice and tight at the back. On the other hand, you've got St Mirren guys, they're leaking goals. The goals I saw against Livingston last week, losing at Paisley 2-0. Alan Stubbs must be climbing the wall on that one, because it's not as if Livingston have unlocked and played a lot of good passing movement to get on the end of things. It's been really down to negligence on the defender's part, which is St Mirren players. I just think it's going to be a real tough 90 minutes for the Buddies, and I'm going to go for Hearts 3, St Mirren 0.
Well, I've just put that in as well, and I'll just verify that's exactly what I've got, 3-0. So good minds think alike. I think you're right.
So seldom differ.
Well, no, that's true. But something, Higgs, I said to Bill at the back end of last season, and I just think that maybe the league was getting a bit stereotyped, and it was just much of the same of teams and what have you. And I just felt as if there was a wee gap in the market for a team to come in and be nasty and win hard, win tough, hard to beat, big and strong, and hard to break down. And I think our Hearts have tapped into that market for me.
Hearts can come in that category.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
I think he's looked at it and went, something, I'm going to go back to what I did as a player, because there was nobody any tougher than Big Levine, and the players that he played with and the players round about him, Hearts were hard to go and win it, Bill. Nasty, right? Really, really tough players. And I'm going back as Big Sandy up front, Neil Berry in the middle of the park, Craig Levine at the back, Watty at right back, who'd have kicked his granny, Watty kid. Big Roger at left back, God rest him, no longer with us, Whittaker. Players like that, wee Robbo, nasty up. Players who would... Mackay in the middle of the park wasn't my favourite person that I played with, but he did a job in there as well. Players like Wayne Foster, had Mike Galloway, players like that, they were all big, strong, hard to beat, and that's what got Hearts. No, the season they nearly won the league, and the season after. That's when Hearts were successful, when they were. And then Jeffries took over, and he had similar. Lockie in there, and Big Lawless, and players like that were all big, strong, hard to beat. And I think Levine's went, wait a minute, see this nicey, it's getting us nowhere. I want to go for players that'll roll up a jersey, play for that badge, because it's a big club, a proud club, and he knows what the fans are looking for. Finally, he's getting that, I think, onto the park, and I think they're getting better and stronger. So yeah, I think he's tapped into something there that listen, he must just maybe I want my team to be hard to beat, and I want to win with a wee bit of quality. And let's not forget, they've lost Big Lafferty. That's a big loss, there's no doubt about that. But the big lad that they've brought up, it's playing up top, is doing a right turn for them. Naismith feeding off the scraps, keeping things back tight, even though Christoph Berra's out for Seattle. Sorry? Ikpeachu up top, but Christoph Berra at the back as well, doing the torn hammy out till next season maybe, and that'll not do him any favours. Obviously, I'm getting a bit older as well, so I think when you look at it collectively, Hearts have did their homework. They know what they need to do. They know how they've recruited. Play to your strengths, hard to beat. Win with a wee bit of quality, and sometimes need to win ugly and get those wee horrible results. But tomorrow, I think St Mirren will really struggle at Tynecastle. That is a banker. That's get a mortgage on that if you've got a mortgage.
Many times you said that, Hugh.
I know,
it's
mate.
been the reverse.
Yeah, it's another 1-2 on.
This is a man that's lost a couple of houses and living in rented accommodation now.
Thanks for that. Not for much longer. And by the way, Jerry texted me to say that I'm not on my own. So there you go.
You're not on your own, what?
No, I said I go home to my own, on my own. Jerry texted me to say, you're not on your own, honey. I says, thanks for that. Okay, so there you go. So, I'll take a smell off your big pots. Because you just love the thought of me getting out of myself and my dog.
That's a terrible thing to say.
No, it's no.
I would never wish that on you.
Aye, for Finlay Day number 2 during the night. And my carpet. Quality.
Listen, how old is he now?
He's 15.
Well, you know. In doggy years, that's what, 105?
I thought for a minute when I woke up it was me, and I was getting really worried I'd forgot I'd done it.
I'm saying no more on this subject. Well, we had a big, long discussion about it in the office.
It wasn't nice.
And I'm glad Jerry feels that you're not on your own.
Jerry knows the score.
Okay. I'm not going where I was going to go with this.
Okay.
Livingston against Hibs. I had Holty on this week. Holty said he didn't feel there was much needed fixing at Livy. They were winning and they were doing well last season. He accepts they're in a different league. There's a different quality there. He also accepts that while he's going to get results like he got in Paisley last week, why should he change anything? If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm. Higgs?
Spot on, yeah. What a start for Gary Holt, and obviously picking up the 3 points against a real depleted St Mirren squad, which we've just spoken about. I think there'll be a decent crowd tomorrow. Hibs will bring 3,000-4,000 along to Tony Macaroni Stadium tomorrow. I think it'll be a good spectacle. I just think, again, Gary Holt will be delighted to pick up the 3 points, but I cannot see Livingston tomorrow. I think Hibs are... I spoke about it before, guys, that they're an exciting team. Okay, they had a draw at home against Aberdeen last week, winning against Ross County late on the week before. But I just think the players that Neil Lennon's brought in over the last year to 18 months has strengthened the squad enormously, and I just feel Hibs have got enough to see them through tomorrow. But it won't be easy for Neil and his team tomorrow. He'll be expressing that to his team. But I just think the way that Hibs have got a lot about them, they've got pace, they've got people that can take people on, they've got guys in the box that will, put the defenders under a lot of pressure, and I just think tomorrow Hibs will get a result tomorrow.
Shug, before you come in, let me just tell you a bit maybe the fly in the ointment is a new surface at the Tony Macaroni, and the reason I say that because Holty, when he was on the other night, admitted his players love it because it's soft and spongy. But I've heard other players saying that they don't like it for the very, very same reason. Yeah. What they've done is they've put very, very good pressure shock pads underneath. But it's made it apparently quite spongy, quite soft. Right. I'm not sure. I mean, I've been experienced with a number of artificial pitches, but never one that's been soft and spongy. And I'm not sure how it would react or how I'd feel about that. It would all seem a bit strange. Because, it's like everything. The given it would be as synthetic as the actual surface, if you know what I mean.
Well, listen, it must meet standards. I don't think.
Oh no, it absolutely does.
They've not done anything to to bend it.
But the interesting thing is, and the point I was making is, Holty's team love it, whereas I've heard other players from other teams saying, I don't like it because it's so spongy.
Well, the fact that Hibs play with a bit of pace maybe just detract their ability to do that. So that's something that they'll have maybe did their homework on, know what to expect. They're not going into lines then. They can't use it as an excuse. It's 11 v 11. Hibs have got better players than Livingston. Livingston are playing with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of hunger. New managers went in. Lenny, you always get that off his team anyway. You always get that off the manager. If the manager's leading for the front, then the team 9 times out of 10 will do the business for you. Hibs have been unlucky a couple of times this season where they thought they would have kicked on and got the full 3 points, and I don't think they're that far away. Let's not forget they've lost the 3 big players, as we say every Friday, and they're hard to follow on from. So I think Higgs has nailed it. It'll be a brilliant atmosphere. Hibs will obviously dictate the numbers there regarding the fans, 4,000-5,000 will take through there, no bother. 35 minutes for the capital. That's a home game for some of them from the other side of the city. The travel for the airport end and run about that either Tate, obviously to Leith. So that's a home game. So massive crowd. Which I think will be a great lift. We always say the atmosphere there, Higgs, as you know, is great anyway.
It's good,
so it'll be
good.
like a kind of old firm atmosphere. The Hibs will fill the place, and I think that can only help them. Great start for Gary Holt. Brilliant start last week going and winning there. And I think it all says well that Kenny Miller had them actually no too bad organised. And Gary has been in there and tweaked one or two wee things. Worked with what he's got. Delighted just to be back in the game. I told you what he was quoted in the Sun, the Mail a couple of weeks ago saying, he really was.
I asked him about that.
He was looking for work, and he was, he said that he was looking for work, Paul. He would have been going signing on within a space of a couple of weeks if he hadn't got the gig. So just bring in a hungry worker, and you know you're going to get a pound of flesh out of him if you're getting a manager working hard. Everybody's working hard round about him. Players are feeding off it. They've had a bad wee start. Obviously, all said and done with the Kenny Miller thing. It's done and dusted. They've brought in a young manager who wants to make his name in the game. Very, very best of luck to him. But I just think if it comes to quality and the pitch doesn't ruin it for Hibs, I think Hibs can go and win by having better players.
Go on, how much?
I'm going to go Hibs 2-0.
Paul?
2-1 Bill. 2-1 for me, Hibs.
Okay, let's move on to Sunday, and the East End of Glasgow is going to be jumping.
You usually play that. Oh no, it's Murdo you play that one.
I'll play that for you and Murdo, because you know what you're like, the two of you.
Well,
big game on Sunday. I'm going to declare straight away that I can't call it. I really cannot call this one at all. There are so many pros and cons on both sides that I find this could be an absolute classic, an epic encounter, a clash of the Titans, and the first time for a long, long time for me.
Well, the fact that Rangers have been so heavily involved in Europe, you look at it and you go, they've only played 3 league games. It seems as if they have been on the road for a while and gaining momentum. And I think, Higgs, the fact that they have done so well in Europe, and Bill's talking about, weary legs going into the game and adrenaline, and it sometimes drains you. I think they've did so well. He knows, that's another good thing. He knows what his favourite 11 is as well. He's not getting into an old firm game like the way maybe Warburton's went into games and he's played like Cranchar and Barton in the same team and been absolutely annihilated, going, I wonder if these guys will do it or not. The fact that Rangers have had a good start in Europe, I think always good to go and have no excuses on Sunday. There'll be no excuses for Steven Gerrard. He's going there with his tails up, his players playing well, to a team who have not really added any major quality. Okay, Edouard with the big signing was already there. Dembele doesn't seem to be happening, and the move we don't know.
Well, the latest thing on the Dembele move, by the way, is that it could happen before the window closes, and he could be loaned back to Celtic. But from talking to people in France earlier on in the week in Lyon, they are desperate to get him there to play. They've got quite a tough negotiator in their head honcho, in the same way that Peter Lawwell is, and I don't see that happening. I really don't. I think whoever came up with that story, I just don't see it happening.
Well, listen, being part of Old Firm games, form's out the window. At this moment in time, Rangers' form is very good. Celtic form, is good. They've did enough. They're up there, and as Murdo says right now, they're above Rangers on the table. The table doesn't lie. The fact that they're sitting there on 6 points. Rangers have got 5. Obviously, the Hensey would have been at the top if they hadn't or a point at Hearts if they hadn't lost the last minute goal. All said and all done, that Stevie Gerrard and McAllister must be absolutely delighted the start they've had. But you know something, I feel. He did say that that there's games that they could lose to Celtic, they could still go on and win titles having lost 4 games. I think that might have been a wee bit of tongue in cheek, because what you do with Old Firm wins, it gains the wee head of steam, it gains you momentum, it gains the bragging rights. And I think first time for a while that the Celtic fans, the Celtic management, the Celtic players more importantly, will know that they're going to have a game on Sunday, and I think that's a leveller right away. Celtic have some still great players, fantastic quality. You don't win 7 titles in a row if you can't play. They've got great players. The stadium will be full of Celtic fans. I think 800 bears, restricted view in the corner. They're going to be there, lambs to the slaughter. But you know, the tried and trusted and the bears, the loyal bears, will be there. And listen, that's what it is. But early kick-off doesn't really come into it. It's an Old Firm game, live in telly, worldwide. People look at it, police on edge. Everything is just geared to, no disrespect to what we've just covered here, but everything is geared to 12 o'clock on Sunday when we're all round about the telly, we're all phoning one another, and let's just hope it's a great game. Let's hope there's no sending offs. Let's hope, as you say, it is an epic and they're in one another's faces, tackles are flying in, there's no big dodgy decisions for Willie Colm, and it's a big call for him as well. So let's just hope the game passes. The best team win on the day, and I can come in here and face wee cheesy face on Monday night and give him a bit of banter. But I'll need to come in and Monday night, I know if my team dare and dread to say lose the game, because come 12 o'clock on Sunday, I'll my fingers crossed, everything else will be crossed, because all I can see is McLeod's face in my head, just smiling at me on Monday night if my team lose. So I'm hoping my team win. Celtic fans will be hoping their team win, but I'm here to say to you, we've never been as well equipped right now with a management team and players to go and really give a good account of ourselves, Paul.
I think you're right. I think it's very tough to call. I think it's really a toss of the coin in regards to Celtic and Rangers. The only surprising thing for me, Hugh, was Rangers losing 3 goals last week against Motherwell. I never saw that happening at all, because up until then they were losing the odd
rock tight, wasn't it? Yeah, they were rock tight.
So that was a real shock to me. So maybe that's just a wake up call that Rangers needed to say, by the way, we aren't that good at the back, and we've got to make sure that they're against Celtic at Parkhead on Sunday. Yeah. So that was a real surprise, a real shocker. I know Celtic don't have the same strike force as Motherwell, very robust, and,
yes,
in people's faces, but they've got to realise that what happened last week at Fir Park can't happen again. And to be fair to Steven Gerrard, he'd taken a wee bit of the flack and a wee bit of the blame, because he possibly should have tweaked the defence a bit better during the game. He's probably taken the heat off his players, Hugh, as you can imagine.
I think he has, and I think you've nailed it. And listen, the ball is coming in from the Motherwell corner, right? Everybody knows it's the last kick of the ball, and I did say on Monday night, I don't think the manager needs to take the blame for that. Lee Wallace is coming on. He's 6 foot plus. He's made the call. He's made it. I just think the goalie could maybe have done a wee bit more. As much as Alan McGregor's been brilliant and did really well, he's still, no open to criticism. And I think that the fact that he didn't come, it's 3 yards out, I still think he could adjust his sail a wee bit better to get his sail on the end. That's only my opinion. I think he could possibly have done a bit better. Tav's lost the boy McHugh at the back with a header. His ball watched and he's ghosted in behind him from a good ball for the wee Motherwell midfield player I may add, and big Golson slipped, and it's another one. What's the goalie doing? The goalie's only coming out because he thinks Golson's going to head it and he's in no man's land, and the boy dinks it over him. So I think 3 preventable goals. I think if there are 3 worldies, you go, well, we've lost 3 worldies, but they've probably worked on Tavernier tucking in a wee bit better, Golston watching, and he is the last line of defence, and the goalie maybe just saying, well, maybe I should have came for it. So I think they could probably learn from it. And listen, as Bill said, they have learned from it, because the 3 of them all defended better yesterday in Russia. So they've all got better for what happened on Sunday, and sometimes
it might be the wake-up call that
possibly.
Well, that's the point. That's the point I made, Higgs. Yeah. I said on Sunday it would have been a raw wound, but you see, last night they'd have looked back after that raw wound and said, if we hadn't have opened that wound up, we wouldn't have learned what we had to learn to do what we did with 9 men last night in Russia. And I think that's the way Steven Gerrard would have looked at it. So from that point of view, at the time, for Rangers fans and for Rangers, it was bitter disappointment. disappointment, but you know what? It probably stood them in better stead than they realise.
Yeah, and kicking on the way they did after the disappointment, you know, you can picture that bus on the way home on Sunday night, Higgs. You must have been, you know, totally despondent. The fact that they're, you know, got 3 points, right up that league, going to Russia, but the fact it shows a lot of character coming back for that, losing that goal, when they've kicked on and went 3-2, they should have really kicked on after half time and won the game. Didn't happen that way. Motherwell definitely, and there were a couple of, you know, boys I knew about the game are saying they seen the goal coming. So Rangers really didn't kick on after going 3-2 up. They've learned from it. They did really well in Russia last night, but what a hard call, what a toss of the coin. All foreign games are hard to call at the best of times, but over the last...
You mentioned the word character there just 2 seconds ago, right?
Yeah.
This will be a character building for Celtic on Sunday, because, you know, by their standards, you know, they've had a niffy start to the season.
Yes.
You know, last few seasons they've picked up the 9 points out of the 3 games, or, you know, 12 points out of the 4 games. So they by their standards, because they have set a high standard over the last few seasons, that this is a real character builder for them on Sunday, because everyone will be watching them very, very closely to see if they can, you know, say by their way to their nearest rivals, by the way you think you're making it, make sure we're the top dogs in Glasgow, the top dogs in Scotland. So it'll be interesting to see how they respond and how they react to, you know, the way that Rangers have started the season.
I wonder how Rangers would look at it, you know, if the Dembele deal does go through tonight, whether that's actually a wee boost for them for Sunday as well. You know, just
for Rangers,
yeah,
I would think so.
Just mentally going, they've sold their top dog. He's away. They've taken the money. They've not replaced him. They'll not replace him tonight with another Dembele. They've got nobody in the pipeline. The window shuts.
Brendan Rodgers saying that it's highly unlikely that Dembele will feature in the Old Firm game on Sunday.
Well, that tells you I think he's on his way tonight. He's got 4 hours, 10 minutes to get the deal done for Lyon, who are reportedly are very, very interested. And I think all round, I think Lowell will be nipping at it, because we know at the end of the day I think he makes the call. I think there's a bit of bad blood that's steadied the last couple of weeks with the manager and the chairman, but I think Celtic could possibly do without a big Dembele up front with Edouard and Griffiths there, and anybody he sees maybe coming.
Is Edouard still no injured though?
Well, I think long term then. But Griffiths again scored last night, and Griffiths always does well against the Rangers. So,
but then Kyle Lafferty always does well against Celtic. This is why I can't call it, because there's so many things cancel each other out in this fixture.
Be interesting to see how he goes. I think he'll go 4-1 in Sunday as well, Heggs. I think he'll go McGregor, he'll go Tavernier, Golston, Katic and Barisic. I think he'll go Ryan Kent. I think he'll go Ryan Jack, Arfield and Candace. And I think he might just sit Lafferty off Morelos. Either that, he'll play Lafferty up front. He'll sit, I think, Arfield maybe off Lafferty. And then there's a space for another midfield player, maybe possibly Andy Halliday. So,
see the Ryan Kent, what's he like, Hugh?
Technically, very, very good. Looks as though he's warming into the position of playing for Rangers. Came with a big reputation. I think the manager likes him. I think the players like him. He gets to the byline. He likes cutting inside as well. I think there's a big loss, Jamie Murphy. I think that's been a big loss to the manager, giving them that other option. And that's where I thought there might have been a wee bit of business done with the boy Jordan Jones.
Yeah, but don't forget they've brought in the boy Grezda.
Yeah, they've brought Grezda in from
Osijek.
Yeah, so you know that's a big signing. According to all reports, he's just ready to burst onto the scene here.
Well, from what I've heard from everybody, and the latest was somebody who knows a player today, they reckon this boy is a boy that's got to be watched.
Well, listen,
he's got speed.
They might just throw him in Sunday.
He takes players on and he can score goals.
They might throw him in. Why not? Because they don't know what to expect for the kid. Just such a big ass to go in and make your debut in an Old Firm game and turn it on, So the fact that he's played, he's played big games, there's no doubt about it. Did he play against Rangers Irish?
No, he didn't. He was injured for both games.
Right. Well, they'll know if he's probably been part of the squad and been here anyway, at least.
You don't think it should be better horses for courses when it's an Old Firm game.
Yeah, well, there's players that make debuts in Old Firm games and they do well. You just need to look at young McCrory playing last season, I think, early on in the year, or the season before, making his debut. He was outstanding at the back, played with Russell Martin. So sometimes the fear's no in it as well, Paul, because you don't know what to fear.
Good shout, yeah.
You don't know what's there. Just go and play. And I think the younger as well. I think that the fear factor is knowing the young bones the way it is as you get older and you start worrying about things. I think
ignorant is bliss.
Listen,
yes, Paul.
Paul, the other thing is as well, you've got to be honest about this. You're talking about horses for courses and now bringing young players in. There's a fair number of these players that have never played in an Old Firm game anyway. Yeah, for Rangers.
Well, that's the problem, because Rangers had that problem last year under Murphy and people like that, Warburton. They played the players that didn't play an Old Firm game before, and they got thumped. You know what I mean?
You're only talking, Paul. You're only talking the two centre backs, Barisic. Okay, it's part of your back.
That's true. That's true.
And Katic,
Katic and Golston and Barisic.
Yeah. You're talking about Kent potentially.
Okay.
But here's the thing, Luke. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, can there be? And I know that Old Firm games are totally different in terms of atmosphere, and especially when you go to Celtic Park, and you've only got 800 fans with you. But the bottom line is that these guys have been through hell this week anyway. For Rangers, gone down to 9 men in Russia against that, and I'm not comparing apples with apples, but they've shown character, and if you've got that much character, then I think it can transfer through into a big fixture like this.
Bill, there's been a massive change at Rangers, and Steven Gerrard's the crux of the matter. He's brought in players that can handle the pressure. But what I'm saying is, see the ones that have any sort of trepidation going into the cauldron at Parkhead or at Ibrox, you've really got to, and I spoke about it earlier on, you've got to be mentally strong to handle it. I've never sampled that, and it must be difficult, and you can be the most skillful player in the world, but see if you don't have a mental toughness, you can just actually evaporate within the 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it is all in the day, innit? It's who turns up, it's who battles, it's who gets off to a good start. We head a steam up, you keep the ball early on. I think Rangers will go, keep it tight. I still think they'll sit with a bank of 4, 1 in front, 4 across. And I just think, I think that's going to be their shape. I think we'll go 4-1, 4-1, and I don't know. It's just he might just throw a spanner in the works. What he's going to do, I really, really do not know. But will they start with Morales? Will they start with Big Kyle? Will they start with Ryan Kent? I think his hands are tied there with the winger, because that's really okay. I don't think they'll bring in the new signing, so Kent will start. Can Kent get in about Lustig? If you're asking me, yes, I think he can. I think he could take Lustig on the inside, be comfortable enough doing that. Middle of the park, it's a shame that Koulibaly's out. I think he's still on the sidelines. He'd have been a big ask in there in the middle of the park to put a shift in. Arfield's looked decent in the last couple of games. Looks as though he's getting fitter. Tavernier for me has been exceptional at right back. It's a big ask for.
Hugh, could they play 4-4-2 with Lafferty and Morales up top? Could that shock Celtic?
Yeah,
could that shock them?
Possibly could. They play Candace in front, working with Tav. He could play Barisic with Ryan Kent playing in front of him there. Middle of the park could be Jack and Arfield.
How do you keep Ageria out after the performance he gave on Thursday night, last night?
Again, the occasion might just be too big. Ageria is a ball player, a fantastic talent, getting better every game, but it's an Old Firm game, and I think Stevie Gerrard will know what derbies are all about. I'll bet there'll be times where he's played with players and the Liverpool manager's made calls and leaving one of their better players out. So I think he'll be bringing that to the party on Sunday and picking a team for the game. Pick a team to win the game. Pick a team to take at least something back to Ibrox. I think right now we take a draw. I think Rodgers right now will be disappointed if they don't win. The fact that they have done us over the last few seasons, but they're gone. I keep telling Murdo that they're gone. You look forward now. As a Rangers fan, you look forward. We're fed up looking back. We want to look forward, progress, get better, win matches. And they will seriously look at us on Sunday night if we manage to go and win there. And I'll tell you something right now, I will love it. Who said that? I will love it if we go there. I will love it if we go there. Right? I tell you, I will love it if we go there and get a result. But I'm right up for it. I can't wait till Sunday. I really am. I will love it. I'm getting all excited, Higgs. I'm getting all excited already.
Sadly, that didn't actually work very well for Kevin.
Shut up.
That's correct.
Enough of that. I will love it. He was good, but wasn't he? He was good. He was pointing into the camera and everything, wasn't he? Fergie been sitting in the house laughing, wasn't he? Fergie been sitting in the house laughing. So, anyway, listen, best of luck to Stevie Gerrard and his players on Sunday. I hope they get a result. Do the club proud. They're doing a great job right now. And the best of luck to whoever wins the game. Best of luck to them. Let's just hope it's my team. What do you think, Higgs? Come on. What do you think?
I'm going to go for a 1-1. I think it's too tough to call, okay. and I think it'd be a great result for Rangers because it just shows you how much they've come on over the last 3 months with Stevie Gerrard. Yeah, and it's still very young. Bill, what do you think?
Shug, I'm going to be honest with you. I can't call it. I really can't. I just there are so many aspects that cancel out other aspects of each other.
Give us a score, Bill.
All right, I'll give you a score. 1-0 Rangers.
1-0 the Bears.
Okay.
Yeah, take that. Big time.
And the reason I'm going for 1-0 Rangers is because I think that whoever's up front for Rangers will upset Dembele and Ayer more than whoever's up front for
Boyata and Ayer, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. Boyata and Ayer.
I think on the strength.
I think looking at that, they can be upset easier than Goldson and Katic can be upset.
I think on the strength of Rangers being able to score goals right now, I think the quality getting into the box for Barisic one side, Tav the other, shoring up the middle of the park, and Goldson have an absolute stormer, which he's done every game, even yesterday as well on the 4G. Yeah, he fell at Firth Park, gave the ball away a couple of times, maybe it wasn't his day, we all have them. But the fact that Lafferty has hit the ground running, if he plays with Lafferty at Morelos, I think we can score.
I'm laughing because I made loads of mistakes.
We all failed, didn't we? I just think the fact that Rangers can score goals and they've got two good centre backs and the goalie could be the difference.
All right, guys, we don't.
You go for Rangers win.
Rangers 2-1.
We don't have a lot of time to debate this, so I'll just say it so that we've got it. But L'Équipe, of course, which is one of the top newspapers in France, reporting that the Dembele move to Lyon is done. Mm-hmm. So that's L'Équipe.
It really surprised me because Dembele's not done too much for Celtic over the last.
No, you're right, Higgs. You've nailed it. He hasn't, because see if all the speculation started. He's swanned about. He's been waiting his move, Higgs. 100% correct. You've nailed it.
See, Celtic, if they're cute enough, they'll get a fortune for him. So if he goes to another club, you might have a knock-on clause for that, Hugh.
Of course they will. Of course they will.
We haven't got time to debate it. Did you guys not understand? Have a good weekend, Paul.
See you later, Higgs. See you, big man. See you, Paul.
Cheers, Paul.
See you Monday, Shug. That's it for me. Just the juniors coming up
Might
next.
See me Monday.
Love music. Live sport. Talking football with Bill Young, Hugh Burns and Paul Hegarty on Rock Sport Radio.